Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on The Boys in the Boat, a movie about rowing. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 13 available at Amazon.com. This is based on the best-selling book. And I'm not surprised it's a book, but it's another period drama. This time it's about rowing and how inspirational this will be. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if you can make this sport interesting enough to sustain a 2-hour movie. I really don't. But, and also, too, I mean, audiences are just not connecting with movies a lot of times. So in order to connect with this movie, you got to think a little bit about when it takes place. Now, what do people know about this era? I think it takes place like right around the Depression era. Right? People don't remember. It was 100 years ago, dude. It was 100 years ago now. And yeah, it's part of history. People know a little bit about it, but I don't know, man. And then to make a sport like this, I don't even get it. And I had a roommate in college who did this stuff. I don't get it. I just don't get the appeal at all. Based on a book by Daniel James Brown, screenplay by Mark L. Smith, directed by George Clooney. I mean, we could see if he's a good director. I don't recall what he directed before. That might be interesting. But it's supposed to be an inspirational story. It looks extremely lavish. I mean, look at this shot here. There's only one or two explanations. Either this is CGI. It's probably CGI. Maybe AI. Either way, it cost a bundle to render. Shots like this gonna cost a bundle. It looks great. I gotta say, it looks amazing. But like a scene like this, can people even relate to it anymore? I don't know. I'm not old enough to remember this era, but I knew people who lived in this era, and I read about it. I know some things about it. I just don't know if the average audience member could connect with that. Now, there's some in the audience. Maybe they go to an Ivy League college and they're on the rowing team. They'll be like totally stoked for this and know exactly what they're talking about. This particular group of guys who won the rowing contest, whenever that was. I don't know. But, see, here's the shanty towns. I mean, it's a great era, don't get me wrong. I don't know if George Clooney's politics will be all over this movie. They could be. FDR. But you look at this shot, there's no way they hired all these extras. I would say that would be very cost prohibitive. But, it's a kind of movie, I just don't see a big appeal for it. This movie probably cost a fortune. And, it looks like it's got incredible detail. If it's based on the book, I'm sure it does, but that detail will be lost on most general audiences. I gotta think. They're lost on me, and I kind of know a little bit. I mean, I know a little bit about rowing. Boathouse Row, I know they row on the Delaware. Now, maybe the movie explains it. Maybe it puts it in context in such a way that you get it and it's relatable, and you get the time period. But like, what age is this movie for? I gotta think if you're not at least I gotta think if you're in your 30s or younger, you don't have time for this movie. Yeah, you just look at it, unless you happen to be in a rowing, unless you were in an Ivy League school. You just look at this movie and go, it's about rowing. I'm not into rowing. And that's it. Right? It's not that Clooney picked a bad book. It's just, how do you make this relatable? Now, maybe he makes it relatable, but that relatability isn't in the trailer. I don't see anything in the trailer. Okay, John, I'll put you on the ground. Jeez. I don't see anything in the trailer that makes me think, oh, okay, this is going to be, it's going to follow characters that I get. I mean, you do have the grumpy coach and the young guys who want to be the best for some reason, but beyond that, I'm not really seeing the context here. It doesn't look like a bad movie. I'll say that. It's probably pretty good. But with the money they spent on this thing, I don't think this stands any chance of making its money back. Not in this market. All I could go by, okay, so this is maybe a little later than the Depression era. Maybe in the lead up to that big war. And then maybe you get a credit roll at the end, what happened to all these guys. I mean, maybe it's a celebration of an America that when we were on the verge of greatness. I don't know. But, maybe it's something that when you look back on, it won't do well in theaters, but when you look back on it from a cinematic perspective in the book, it's actually pretty good. But people are going to sleep on this, I think. With all the craziness going on in the world, is this what we really need? I know what I think fans need. I think fans need a laugh, big time, in cinema. I think they need something fun, especially now. I think they need something cheap. This isn't a cheap movie. Like if you put this out in the theaters and made it $5 all the time, maybe you'd get people like, well, this movie's only $5, and I mean, Clooney directed it. Maybe it's pretty good. I think a lot more people would go see it, but I don't think they're going to do that. It just looks like a movie they made in the 90s about a subject back when people were still watching movies, and probably would have been pretty good. Probably be maybe Oscar bait, like Chariots of Fire or something. But is it going to make money? I don't think so. I don't think it speaks to now. I just don't. I mean, just looking at it, it's just like, the costumes look great. Everything looks great about it, but except that, like, it's not drawing me in to, like, I gotta see this. I just look at it and I go, yeah, George Clooney made a movie about a book. Must be nice, making millions of dollars and doing, reading a book one day and saying, oh, I would love to direct this. And then, spending months of meetings and whatnot and being paid all sorts of crazy money to do this. I mean, it must be nice. Is it going to be good, though? Yeah, I think it'll be pretty watchable. I just don't think people will go to see it. I just don't think the appeal's there. It's just going to be like, I mean, you might hear about it. Maybe good word of mouth could help it. I don't know. I mean, we just had Killers of a Flower Moon open, and it came in second to the second week of Taylor Swift's movie. What do you think this is going to do? The first week. I just don't know. I don't think it's going to do very well. And I'm not saying you shouldn't make the movie because of that, but this looks expensive as F. I don't know, man. I'm just ranting at this point. I'm very tired. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. If you can find a more base take, I say take it. I'm going to be lots of places all this week. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.